Well, I moved into this room, if you could call it that, a week ago. I never do what I'm supposed to do, hardly even know my name anymore. When no one calls it out, it kind of vanishes away. And I can't get to sleep at night, the parking lot's so loud and bright. The AC hasn't worked in 20 years, probably never made a single person cold. But I can't say the same for me, I've done it many times. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. You can't drive through Talladega on a weekend in October. Just head up north to Jacksonville, cut around and over, watch your speed, Bowling Springs. They ain't got a thing to do, they'll get you every time. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. If we pass through on a Sunday, better make a stop at Wayne's. It's the only open liquor store north, and I can't stand the pain of being by myself without a little help on a Sunday afternoon. Well, I needed that damn woman like a dream needs gasoline, and I tried to be some ancient kind of man, one that's never seen the beauty in the world. But I tried to chase it down, tried to make the whole thing mine. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. Somebody take me home through those Alabama pines. I've been stuck here in this town, if you could call it that, a year or two. I never do what I'm supposed to do, I don't even need a name anymore. When no one calls it out, it kind of vanishes away. No one gives a damn about the things I give a damn about. The liberties that we can't do without seem to disappear like ghosts in the air. We don't even care, truly vanishes away.
All right, y'all. We're just cranking them out. We're kicking things into high gear, y'all. This is where shit gets real. We're stepping it up, stepping up the game, stepping up the content, stepping up our levels of accountability. We're just bringing it. Still at home sick, and I will be for a little while. Still had a very productive day today. Actually got all my transcripts sent out to all the schools I applied to, so fingers crossed, say them prayers, all that stuff. Went and picked up my prescription finally, so taking this medication for the sporotrichosis, and the list of side effects is ridiculous, but the list of drug interactions is even longer. Not that that's really an issue, but it's been interesting. Got home and ran and changed into my pajamas, and I threw some chicken on the grill because I have to eat with these pills, and jumped on this Zoom call with one of my best friends, and he and I have been through a lot together, and we've seen each other literally at our worst. He and I have, without getting into any details because telling war stories doesn't do anyone any good, but if you can imagine it, we probably did it. If you've heard about it, we probably did it, and we probably laughed and shit got really dark. The fact that we've seen each other at our worst like that, and now we see each other at our best like this. And to know that with what we have now, and he and I got sober at the same time separately. You know, that's what part of what made it so amazing. But we're just starting to scratch the surface of it, and it's only going to get better. I am on the verge of being in the best shape of my life, mentally, spiritually, physically. And I know that if I can be in this position after everything that's happened, and that he can be in this position after everything that's happened in less than 2 years, then anyone can do it. And let's just get to it. Here's that conversation. Let's roll with it. Welcome to season 3, y'all.
We're rolling, sitting here with my brother Guy.
What's happening, Jeremy?
Loving life, living the dream.
Me too, my brother. Me too.
Yeah.
Who lived the nightmare for way too long, right?
Oh yeah. Well, little nightmares are dreams too. So
You're not lying.
bad. You know, never knew that life could be this good.
No, never thought it could be any better than it was. And it wasn't good at all.
I never thought that I would get to the point where I would surrender and accept this life.
That's key, right? Surrender.
Yeah. Surrender.
If I don't understand that I can't do it myself, I'm in serious trouble. Right? And that's key.
It's about being humble. It's about humbling yourself and accepting that you are not the center of your universe.
And how hard is that for us to realize, huh? It's very hard.
Well, for me, I know I was never the center of anyone's universe. And so it was always a struggle to kind of be heard and to try and get the things that I needed as far as like love and acceptance and, you know, the basic things that we're supposed to supposedly all have, you know, provided for us by our families or things like that. Through no one's fault, these things get skewed and we don't understand what it is we're searching for. And whenever we do drugs, it provides relief from that. We think, hey, we found the answer and I don't have to do anything other than get this shit and put it in my body and then I'm good.
And it works for a really long time, right? Like that works for us.
Works long enough to condition you into believing that that was the way.
For sure. And then we don't know any other way.
We don't want to find any other way. We don't want it because nothing else feels that good. And it's not the instant gratification part of it. You know, that instant dopamine hit. You know, it's like I feel like shit now, but I do this and I'm not going to feel that way anymore. So I want that as opposed to doing that real dark work and doing the hard things, dealing with your unprocessed trauma and looking at your own defects of character that lead you into these things.
You know, in active addiction, we don't even realize what we're doing is the wrong thing to be doing. That's kind of what we're talking about, right? We just, you know, we started doing it myself started doing it at a very young age. I'd say around 14 years old. I started using drugs and drinking. And from that period on, I never had to learn how to do anything else except numb my pain and, you know, just numb my pain and numb what was going on.
And after a while, looking for that relief became the primary motivating factor for everything we did in our lives.
100%, man. I would agree 100%. In active addiction, the only thing that matters to me is looking for that next high and looking for a way to cover up how I feel.
Or to cover up the fact that I'm an addict. Either
or, right? It's all feelings, right? Because I'm feeling ashamed that I'm doing what I'm doing, right?
I don't want to distract myself from that shame and distract anyone else from seeing it. It's all about obfuscating that.
It's no different than when I was using methamphetamine for the last 5 years up until I got clean and sober, that I was using steroids to cover up the fact that I was using meth. So I would have people come to me and say, hey, man, you look really good. You look super healthy. Oh, man, you're working out really hard. And all I was doing was killing myself. Right? That's all that was going on.
Lying to yourself. Yep. And lying to others.
I was masking the mask, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I was masking the mask. That's insane. That is insane.
That is the definition of insanity.
Yeah. So I'm so ashamed of everything even the way that I'm trying to fix everything, that I had to mask that. So how lost was I, bro? Like completely and utterly lost in all of it, man. In all of it. And it took, well, you know what it took. It took coming to the point of ODing, almost dying on my couch, picking the drugs up and doing them again. That's insanity.
Mhm.
To a point where I knew, man, this is going to kill me. But I did it from the time I was 14 to the time I was 44. 30 years. 30 freaking years where I thought that was okay. You know my story, man. Let's, a little bit of my story. I was raised in a two-parent household. My parents are still together to this day. I was raised with my brother until he was age 16. When he moved away, I was kind of left to my own devices. My parents were kind of, well, we screwed up with him, so let's just kind of let him do whatever he wants. Not to blame them whatsoever, but that's where I was left. And so at about that age of 14 years old, I started doing what I wanted, right? And that was drugs and alcohol. I started drinking at a really young age. I was smoking pot at, 14, 15 years old. Didn't take too long till I was about 16 and I was using methamphetamine. And when I started using methamphetamine, you were around that. I loved it. Like it was the greatest thing in the world to me. I didn't feel anything when I was on that stuff, especially back in the 90s, man. I was ripping and running and feeling great. I went to prison. That didn't change me. Got out of prison, had my family. That didn't change me. I had it from the outside looking in, like when you first moved to Columbia, from the outside looking in, when I was with my ex-wife and my family all lived with me, it looked pretty good. If you were standing outside looking, you say, man, he's got it. He's coaching baseball. He's raising his family. But I was so lost, man. I was
Mhm.
so lost, right? And then this last little run started in about 2016. I really, really started abusing drugs, man. Like to the point where it was an ungodly amount of drugs, man. Like when you're
After a
buying,
certain point, the drugs stop working anymore, and we can't cover up that pain, and we're not getting high anymore. And it,
I'm just
yeah,
functioning. I'm
barely.
just functioning. So if I don't have it, I can't make it to work. There's no way in hell. I'm not going to make it to this ball game for my kid, and I'm not going to be there for Caitlin, and I'm not going to use all of these things that I can't do unless I have it. And it was a very dark time in my life, man. From 2016 to 2022, were very, very dark, But the good thing is, I found some recovery, brother, and that's
Yes.
what we're here to talk about, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That's
This
the
isn't
deal.
a drug program. This is a recovery program, right?
That's right. That's right, man. My recovery began, man, when I decided to surrender. When I decided to cry out to the God of my understanding, God, I can't do this. I'm going to die. And I said that prayer in my little house all by myself. I can't do it. And when I did that, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know I was surrendering to this power greater than myself that was going to help me, you know, get through this. I had no idea,
Help
right?
restore you to sanity.
But I knew that I couldn't do it anymore, right? That's the deal. And so when I got to that point, it kind of got easy. It kind of got easy to at least quit doing the drugs, man.
Yeah.
Right? That part was really, really simple. Just don't do it. Right?
Don't pick up and put the drugs in your body. Don't buy them. Don't go around people that do it. Just, it's simple.
That
But
part is
then,
very easy.
but then real life begins and your actual feelings start to come back and you start to come back and you see the wreckage of everything that you've done.
So then the real work begins, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's when the work begins. And I was blessed to have some people around me that knew how to do it. I'm a real believer in a 12-step program. I don't care what kind of 12-step you do. I don't care if it's NA, AA, whatever. I don't care, but I believe in it because it worked for me. Might not work for you, works for me.
Pretty sure that if someone surrenders completely and works those 12 steps, and I don't like you, I don't care if you go to Celebrate Recovery, if you work them with your pastor, if you surrender and throw yourself into those 12 steps, I don't care what problem you have in your life, you're going to gain a better perspective and be able to be accountable for your part in whatever's happened and to see the way that you can remove yourself from that.
So that's key, right? That we have to be accountable, right? That's the key, right? So I have to figure out that it's pretty much all my fault. Minus childhood trauma that I didn't ask for, okay? Minus that. Everything else I was probably involved in.
And here's the thing, while we're not responsible for that childhood trauma, what we are responsible for is healing ourselves so that we are no longer a walking, talking trauma response based on those unprocessed traumas.
100%. But see, a lot of us don't even, like a guy like me. When I was told that I had PTSD by a therapist, my exact words were, "I've never been to war. What are you talking about?" And this man said, "Let me explain to you what PTSD is." Right. And he explained it to me. And I was sitting there with my jaw on the floor. Right. And I said, I got PTSD.
Yeah.
I didn't know a normal person. I thought you had to go to war, man. Right? I thought you had to have
or you had to be raped or be in a really bad car wreck that almost killed you or something like that. Yeah.
But trauma can be a lot of things, dude.
And you know what that is? You know what that is, Guy? When you go, "I've never been to war, I don't have trauma." That is toxic masculinity. That's what that's called. That 100%. When people, masculinity isn't toxic. You know, being a man and being accountable isn't toxic. But saying, "Hell no, the laws of human nature and psychology don't apply to me because I ain't never been to war." Yeah, because I'm a man. That's the toxic masculinity part. Yeah.
And so we're all raised that way, right? You knew my old man. I was raised to be a man, be a man's man.
Don't be a pussy.
And we ain't going to put up with any of that, right? No. Don't let anybody kick your ass. And if they do, I'm kicking your ass. And that's the way it was. So we really have to learn a whole new way to live, right? And I believe those 12 steps are a roadmap to a new way to live. I think that you can take out the alcohol part or the narcotics part and stick in whatever the hell it is, and it works.
So many of my friends, I see how addicted to sex they are, you know, or see how addicted to their screens they are, or, you know, any number of things. Any of those things that if you step back and look at yourself and see that, and if you think that you might even have an issue, like, I want to cut back on this. Yeah, work those 12 steps on it.
100%, man. So like normal people, or like we like to call them normal people.
Right.
They don't
people
get
who
that
don't
program.
think they have a problem, by the way. Those are people that don't think they have any problems. Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't get this roadmap to life, right? Because they won't admit that there's something wrong with them or whatever. But they don't get that roadmap, so I kind of feel sorry for them, right?
Yep.
Because you and I believe we're the lucky ones, which is kind of insane to even think about. But I'm lucky that I was a drug addict. I'm lucky that I was an alcoholic. And I'm lucky that I got this roadmap to change my life and to change the things I'm doing and to change the way I'm thinking and to change the way I'm acting. Without the drugs and the alcohol and the mess, maybe I never found this roadmap. Then I'm just a normal guy out there, and I don't get the chance to step back and look at myself and examine myself and figure out what's wrong with Guy. Why is Guy doing this stuff, right? So I spent a lot of time pointing my fingers at everybody else, man. It's their fault. It's a girl's fault. I blamed a lot of females in my life. I blamed everybody. Today,
yeah, we blamed each other before. We used to blame each other when we were kids. Yeah.
But I own my part of all of it today. Even if I don't want to, right? Even if I don't like it, even if it doesn't feel good,
those
even
are
if it's
the parts that we have to own the hardest and own the most and look at the most.
So it's real easy to say, well, it's my fault I crashed that car. That's real easy to say because you ran the car into a wall.
Right.
But to take your part in something that you really, really blame somebody else for, that's hard to do.
it's hard to take my part in this whole thing where I got accused of what I got accused of, and then stand back and how look at everything happened. But to know, hey, maybe I didn't do what she accused me of, but I shouldn't have fucking been there, and that's on me for being there.
So
I made that decision.
I put myself in positions to get taken advantage of, to get screwed around, to get jerked around. That's my part of it, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when I went to prison, I could have sat back and said, well, so and so told on me, and so and so told on me, and this guy said that, and this guy did that. But I chose to do this, even back then, was to say, okay, stupid, you made a decision to run around with these morons. You made a decision to do the things that you did. And even them morons told you not to leave that night, and you went ahead and did it anyway. So I kind of incorporated that kind of thinking, that I knew that back then, back in 05, I knew that. Because I could have lived in blame in prison, and I chose not to, because I knew that would make my time really, really hard if I spent all of my time blaming this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy for what I did. So I guess kind of I had an idea before recovery came of how to take ownership for what I'd done, right? But I didn't do it. You know what I'm saying?
We weren't accountable for it. We knew all this stuff for years. It's just that we never lived it and we never applied it. Like when you're a kid, they tell you go to bed early, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, exercise, and don't do drugs. Like they told, none of this is new.
None of it at all. But see, we turned it off, right? We turned it off.
100.
We turned it off at a very young age.
We turned it off, and what wound up happening is through that conditioning, you still go through all these things, and like now, what we're doing is kind of, when you say learning a new way to live, it's undoing a lot of that conditioning, and we're
100%.
doing it in the face of a society that's still very, very conditioned.
This society that we're living in today doesn't agree with the way we're trying to change ourselves either. They don't. Because they don't want to be they don't want to be accountable for nothing.
This is a society based on a lack of accountability, which is how we are 100%. In this whole position all the way to the top. Which 100%. Is something I've recently kind of been enlightened on. Was like, oh wow, this literally goes all the way to the top, and it's kind of changed my viewpoint on what my responsibility and what my obligations are, not just to myself, but to other people who are, kind of walking around blind and unaccountable. And it's like, well, I have to kind of take up a little bit more measure of accountability for myself and stand on this a little bit harder. And it kind of, our perceptions change. And the more you level up, once you start that recovery process, your spiritual vibration increases. And you just start leveling up, and your perspective levels up, and it changes, and you take on more and more accountability as you go.
I think we can really see through the bullshit, man. Right? Like, let's just break it down to what it is in layman's terms. I took the blinders off, dude. I could see through the bullshit, man.
Well, when you're willing to look at yourself and say, hey, I've been a dumbass, and I've done this, this, and this, and this is where my defects of character are, and this is what I've done wrong in this instance, and there's all the things, and I have to forgive these people. Once you go through all that and you look at it for what it really is, nothing scares you anymore.
No, man, nothing can stop you. See, so like gratitude, man, gratitude. So I have to learn to be grateful for all of the stuff that I went through, and all of the stuff that people did to me, or I think did to me, or however that works, and all of the bad stuff, right? When I learn to be grateful for all of that, you can't stop me. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. Because you know what? Even if you punch me in the face, I'm going to stand there and go, well, I wonder what I'm supposed to learn from that, right? My perspective has changed. It's not all bad anymore. I can make anything that's negative a positive. That's all. I can do that today. So it makes it so I can maneuver, and I can get through this life without all this negative stuff, man. Right? Because even if it's bad, my Bible tells me that God works all things to the good for those who worship him, right? That's what my Bible tells me. And so I don't want to get all religious, but God's in this, and he's got me, and I'm going to be okay. So the positive, it's all positive. It has to be.
It's real. And that's the thing right there. And you've nailed it all. And I mean, you can get as religious as you want. If people don't like it, they can shut it off. I mean, for real, like the whole thing about it is, I don't look at anything as being good or bad. And I said this recently in one of the other podcasts that if you don't look at something that is appearing to be a negative and take what you need out of it and learn the lessons that you need to learn, you're gonna run into it again and
Yeah,
again
you're
and
destined
again.
to repeat it, bro.
Yes.
It's no different than what they taught us in history class. If we don't learn from history, we're going to repeat it. That works in life, man. That works in daily life,
Yep.
right? If I don't learn from what I screwed up yesterday, I'm gonna do it again today.
Facts.
It's 100%. It's 100%.
And that's why
on the same token, if I did something positive yesterday, all I got to do is look and say, well, all I got to do is do that again today, and I'm going to be all right. Right? It's the same.
Whenever you feed that positivity, it grows. Just the same as they talk about, well, you've got all this negativity and we're trying to hide, all the unprocessed trauma and all the bad things that we feel about ourselves, and it festers and it grows like a fungus in the dark. And you shine a light on it and it goes away. But if you feed that positivity, it grows and it will overtake everything else. Like I had nothing left when I got back to Columbia. It was so bleak, and I didn't have any of my thing. I had none of my stuff, all my material. I had to learn about detachment on all my material stuff because I literally had my dog, a chair, a TV, and a blanket and a jar of weed. That was it. Nothing else. And I was grateful for what I did have, and I was grateful to have an apartment to fall into with nothing in it. After what I'd been through, it was like, I don't care. I'll just lay on the floor right now. That's
100%, man.
Like it is what it is. And I had to get my body healthy, and I had to get my mind healthy, and I had to get my spirit healthy. And I started going to yoga, and I changed what I ate, and I started going to therapy. And those little bits, and like I clung to that stuff like a life raft, because I had nothing else. I knew I was going to die.
It was a life raft, bro.
It was
a life raft.
It was a life raft. And
100%.
The more I did those positive things that helped me, that were self-care, that fed the positivity, the less I wanted to do any of those other things that weren't positive. The balance started to shift a little bit. And before long, once I had went to therapy and dealt with all my unprocessed trauma, and I'd done the 4th and 5th step inventory of making those lists and going through everything I'd ever done and everything anybody had ever done to me, and seeing them for what they were and putting them into context and forgiving myself through God's grace and forgiving people who had wronged me, that quest for oblivion fucking dissipated.
That's gone. When it goes away, right? So when we decide to get super honest, and that's key. We both know that we got to be honest because we've been lying to ourselves a really, really, really long time.
Forever.
So I had a smart man tell me the other day, why aren't you the top guy on your make amends list? And I went, He said, if you're not the first person on that list, you're messing up. And I thought, oh,
that's real.
That's real. I didn't know that. I've learned to forgive myself, but I don't think I forgave myself first, right? Like I didn't do that. But that's why I get to keep learning and keep talking and keep doing this. But man, when he said that to me, man, I was like, oh my gosh, how much easier it would have been if I'd have put me first.
Right.
It probably would have been a little easier, man.
Well, we would have been making better decisions off the flip, right?
Yeah, right. Right. So step 4, okay, so let's see. 1, 2, and 3, surrender. 4, 5, and 6 are responsibility, right? That's what they're about.
It's all about responsibility and accountability and staying humble after that, checking yourself.
So 4, 5, and 6 tell me I got to take responsibility for what I did, right? I take responsibility for what I did, and I put me as number 1 on my amends list. That makes it a lot easier for me to forgive the things that I think other people did to me. Right? Because I got to forgive myself. And I think too, man, that I got to do that every day, man. I got to do that on the constant. I got to keep doing it, man. I don't get to work the 12 steps, write a list, and I'm done. I'm never done. Okay? That's key too, man. I don't have to, I get to. I get to keep growing, keep learning, keep moving. I get to do all of those things. I get to get healthy. I get to feel better. When you say I have to, doesn't that suck?
Well, you're kind of setting yourself up for a little bit of failure too, and it's like
when I say, man, I have to go to work today.
Man, I get to go to work today. I have a job.
I'm
blessed. I'm
the
healthy
perspective, dude.
Get out of bed, and I have legs, and I can walk and dress myself and drive to work, and I have a car that I can drive to work in. And yeah, it's about being grateful for where we are and what we do.
It switches it all, dude. Just that one word. Switch one damn word. Changes all kinds of stuff, man. All kinds of stuff. We didn't know that, dude. We didn't know that. The word have to get to, man, it'd change your whole day, man. Tell you right now. And that's amazing. This stuff is so simple yet so complex. Right?
Well, once we get over our ego and get over the fear of the unknown and people have this like fear, this God complex. They're like, oh, I don't like the 12 steps because they talk about God, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's like, well, it's about accountability and being accountable to a force greater than yourself that keeps you humble, because you obviously can't do this on your own, or else you already fucking would.
Well, here's the thing, dude. We were accountable to a force bigger than ourselves when we were using, because those drugs were way, way stronger than we were.
Had me spending money I didn't want to spend, going places I didn't want to go, hanging out with people I really didn't fucking like and hanging out with.
I trusted the fact that you were going to give me real drugs every single time, whoever you were.
Stuck that shit in my arm. What the fuck?
But I can't trust that there might be somebody up there that's looking out for me. But I trusted you to give me this crap to shove in my body. It's really very simple.
My favorite people are like, I don't believe in God. I believe in the universe. And I'm like, God is the universe. He's omnipotent.
God is the universe. God is you and me. Yeah. God is in here.
When I look in your eyes and I see you, and I see real you that I haven't seen in fucking 35 years, I know that that's God. When I go outside and I take a big breath of fresh air, that's God. When I, feel the breeze on my face, I know that's God talking to me every day.
I'll tell you this, man. I went to Niagara Falls, man, right? And we went on that ferry boat to go down in the falls. And I'm going to tell you what, God was breathing on me, man. Like, that's what it felt like to me. The power of that waterfall, moving that air, is like nothing you've ever felt before in your life. And if you go there and you tell me you don't believe in God, I'll throw you overboard, man, because I don't think that you can do that and not feel that, man. And those are the things that I'm able to feel today.
Right.
If I'd have done that 5 years ago, I'd have been like, this boat's rocking too much, man. I'm ready to go back up there and get high.
Right.
That would have been the deal.
Or like me, I would have a scientific explanation for it, and I'd tell you about why, how, this, blah, 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 and all this. And it's like, I was arrogant, and I was very wrapped up in my own ego, and I believed the things other people said when they said how intelligent I was, and all this other shit. And that wasn't me. I was what they saw through their eyes and were projecting onto me. And if I don't want to give a fuck about what somebody says about me, if it's like negative, if they're talking shit, then why am I putting any stock into what they're saying if they're blowing smoke up my ass? Tell me how smart I am, or how cute I am, or how good I am.
Because that makes us feel good.
Oh yeah, I know.
That's the feel good part. So we were running on feelings all the time, right? Whatever made me happy, whatever made me sad, whatever made me angry, right? So today I know this much too, is that I can't do anything based on a feeling. Nothing. No. Absolutely nothing.
We do not make decisions based on feelings, because even though we have to be connected to our feelings to know how we feel and make decisions, we don't make decisions based on those feelings, because they're fleeting, they change, and they're often they're based in delusions sometimes. Feelings aren't facts.
Feelings are not facts. Love is not a feeling.
No, it's a
feeling.
It's a commitment, and it's accountability. It means I am accountable to you, and I will run shit by you and not put you in a shitty position in life.
If I love you, I won't lie to you.
That's right.
I will tell you what you need to hear. I won't tell you what you want to hear.
I don't
Right?
I don't want to make you think I'm great, because if I love you, you know I'm great. And so I'm going to be great. I'm going to be accountable and, provide that level of security, because that's the only thing we can really do. And I've said this before too. The only gender role there is as a man is you set the level of accountability for your household and for your family. That's it.
That's your job, man.
It's your job.
Any religion that you could tell me, that's a man's job. Doesn't matter which one you believe. That's what the man's supposed to do. What you just said. That's what we're supposed to do. Because everybody on the planet knows that.
Nobody's
But
doing
we've gotten so far away from it, and we've made everything okay, and everybody can be whoever they want to be, and
because you don't want to hurt anybody's
yada.
feelings, because it's all about how
Yeah.
they feel. And well, if we hurt their feelings, then they won't want to come in and talk to us. And then we want them to feel good about things, and we don't want to make people feel bad. Doctors are not treating people who have a certain level of obesity anymore, simply because they're afraid of getting sued for telling their obese patients to lose fucking weight.
That they're fat.
That they're fat.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me
Is that
feel
it?
bad. Well, fuck, push back from the table, motherfucker.
Fucking do a sit up, bro. Come on, man.
Quit
What are we
eating
doing?
donuts for breakfast. I mean, for real. And it's easy
How
for me
come-
to say, but I'm going to go ahead and say this. I've lost 80 pounds over the past 2 years. And
So is it okay for me to let drug addicts die on the street because I don't want to hurt their feelings because they're drug addicts?
Well,
No.
God, I tell you what, that's part of what I'm working in when I'm going to grad school now, is going to be it's a different type of therapeutic approach, dealing with dual diagnosis and co-occurring addicts, predominantly males, because the pussy shit don't work for us, bro.
Mm-mm.
It don't. Somebody
It
has
don't,
to
man.
get in our
See-
face and tell us, quit being a fucking pussy.
So I've told you this story before. When I was in rehab in 2022, October of 2022, I was in IOP, intensive outpatient. And I got really mad about something, man. I don't remember what it was, right? Because it probably didn't matter anyway. But I got really, really mad, and I cussed this lady out. Her name was Nikki. And I told Nikki she could kiss my ass, right? I told her all about it. And she stood up and she said, "Why don't you sit down and shut the fuck up?" And I went, "Oh, right." I didn't even think she cursed, right? So she
Right.
said that to me, and she said, "Guy, you're not angry, you're just scared." And I sat down and I shut up. And I didn't say anything for the next 2.5 hours. And I left that place. And I went home and I sat in my feelings for a while. And I decided she was right. I went back the next day, man, and I said, "Nikki, let me talk to you." And she said, "What's going on, Guy?" I said, "I want to thank you." And she said, "For what, Guy?" Because she probably figured I was still pissed off. And I said, "I wanted to thank you for making me think and realizing that all of my anger comes from fear." So that was a lot of my issue, bro, was that I was scared. But what it took was for some lady that didn't know me to stand up and tell me to shut the hell up and listen. And like you said, man, sometimes that's what we need, dude. That's what I need. I don't need somebody to go, "It's going to be okay, Guy. Everything's going to be nice. You'll be okay."
fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah, no, it's all my fault.
It is.
And I need somebody to tell me that. And when I get out of that, I need somebody to tell me that. And that's why we do what we do, right? That's
Right.
why we're getting in this community of recovery, right? Of these people that have figured out, man, I don't want to live this way anymore. And so if I grab a guy like you that's doing the same thing that I'm doing, you're going to tell me, "Hey, stupid, what are you doing? Hey, man, that's not part of the plan. Why are you deviating from what we're doing? We need to get back to where we were," yada, 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 right? We can't surround ourselves with people that want to make us feel good. Can't do that. Doesn't work. Because I surrounded myself with stuff that made me feel good, and that was drugs and alcohol. And you see where that got me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's real.
It's real. It's as real as it can be. I had a similar story too when I first got into drug court, and I get in there, and I think I've told you this one too. This little girl named Kay, a little girl. She's a woman. but she's smaller than me. She's short and chubby cheeks and big boobs and like little cute girl. And she's really nice. And just I'm sitting there and rolling my eyes. Like, I don't want to fucking be there. I don't want to hear what she's got to tell me. Well, you're in your 20s. What are you going to tell me? Like, honestly, come on. That's cute, but I was like real condescending. And
Oh yeah.
she's like, well, what's your deal? And I'm like, well, I already know all this. And like, I can facilitate this group for you. And she's like, then what are you doing here? If you're so fucking smart, how come you can't apply any of this to your life? And my cheeks got red because she was right.
She was super right.
She nailed it so, and she called me and just foot. And I sat there and yeah, she eventually wound up working with me on one of my projects in school recently for one of my research.
But so how much did you need that, dude? You needed that, right?
I needed it so badly, and I needed it to come from her at that moment. Apparently, you know, the things that we hear, like if somebody tells you something you don't want to hear, they're probably telling you the truth.
100%, man.
People don't walk around telling you things that you don't want to hear if they want to be your friend or they want to blow smoke up your ass or they want to have sex with you or want to sell you drugs. They're going to tell you all kinds of bullshit. They're going to tell you how cool you are and how, oh yeah, you're this, or let's go here, or let's do that. And they're going to be all about you, you know, but somebody's telling you the truth. Maybe they're not being mean and they're not bullying you. Maybe it's something you need to hear. And if you don't like the way it makes you feel, don't get mad at that person and lash out at them. Look at why you feel the way that you feel. Absolutely. Why is that upsetting to you? Sometimes it might be because they're a fucking asshole, but you know,
but you got to figure that out, right?
Yeah,
we have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But we used to just jump to the conclusion that they were an asshole and just leave it at that.
You want to go at it? Shit.
Right? Like we just jumped to that conclusion.
I'll hurt your face.
Yeah, you're just being a prick, so that's what it is, and it is what it is. When I learned too, man, that a lot of times when I'm telling you what you need to do, not out of love, but out of, you know, whatever that is, when I'm like, well, you should do this and you should do that, and I think you should do this and I think you should do that, it's probably all the things that I need to do.
Yep.
I'm probably coming from inside here, and I'm really not happy with what I'm doing. And so I'm projecting that on you to make me feel better about what I'm doing. So I'm going to point out what you're doing.
Or normalize it, or we'll look at other people. And I know me and a certain other mutual friend of ours that we love dearly used to sit and do a lot of cocaine and talk shit on you because you were doing meth. But the reality is you weren't there with us doing cocaine. That's probably more what we were mad about than not that we weren't concerned for you, because we were as much as we could be, but if we were really concerned for you, we wouldn't have been doing that to ourselves.
100%. And we normalize that too, right? Like, well, this drug ain't as bad as that drug.
Sure.
And or he's a meth head. Well, I just snort a little coke on the weekend, right. You know, whatever. And come on, man. Like, it's all death. It's all killing us.
Yep. You're just justifying your shit behavior to make you feel better about what you're doing. And make yourself feel better above somebody else.
If you think what I'm doing is shittier, it makes what you're doing better. Right? Like that's how it works.
Yep.
Right? That's how the lie keeps going, man. Right? And it's just one big giant lie, dude, right? That we've been telling ourselves for so long. And we believe that shit. We believe that lie. Right? And so when you take the drugs and the alcohol away and you figure out it was all lies and you got to feel all these things that you never felt before, it's a lot of work, man. And it hurts. And there's a lot of crying and there's a lot of yelling and there's a lot of anger and there's a lot of, I don't even really know how to feel. And all of this stuff, because I took away a
probation violation and going to jail for 12 days over my fucking lack of ability to regulate my emotions and keep my shit in check, because I had relied on drugs and alcohol to do that for fucking ever, for 3 decades. And
for 30 years, man. Think about that, brother. Think about that. We ain't been doing this very long. We did that for 30 years.
Well, that's the thing. We're just starting to really scratch the surface of this. You and I are both under 2 years.
And we have to do this the rest of our lives, man.
We get to do this the rest of our lives,
Yeah,
Guy.
we do. But we don't ever get to stop.
There's
right? And I try to do
looking back.
I try to do my recovery the same way I did my drug addiction in this sense. I use drugs every single day. I use drugs 10, 15, 20 times a day, right? And so I got to do that with my recovery. So every single day, I need to talk to another drug addict or alcoholic that is going through something, or I'm going through something, whatever. We need to have a conversation. I don't need a text message. I need to have a conversation with another drug addict and an alcoholic so he can keep me accountable for what's coming out of my mouth, and I can keep him accountable for what's coming out of his. I have to do that. I have to do it every single day. I have to have a routine that involves recovery every single day, and it needs to be the same. So every day when I got up and loaded that speed pipe and got high before I went to work, I need to get up every single day, open my devotional, pray to my God, and do that every single freaking day. And the days that I don't, the days that I get in a hurry, and the days, because we do that, man. We get in a hurry, we jump up, we got to run to work, we got to do this. It's a rough day, man. It's a rough day for me. And even if I stop and do it in the middle of the day, it's not the same. It's not the same as having that routine of, I do this every morning. I have to get up, and I have a friend of ours that's just now starting to do this. He said to me, "You know what, man? I get up every day and I make my bed and I do my laundry,
do my dishes, clean them
I
dirty
have a
dishes.
cup of coffee, and I watch the sun come up." And he's got this little routine, and he's doing it.
That's how it starts.
I said, "Bro, it's amazing." And I said, "How long has it been since you didn't make your bed, man?" He said, "I ain't never made my bed in my life, man. I ain't never
made my bed, and then I didn't give a shit. How's that?"
And then my old lady did, and and whatever. I said, "How long has it been since you folded your own underwear?" He said, "I ain't never folded my own damn underwear. Somebody else did it for me."
Yeah,
right?
It's real.
And he's getting satisfaction out of doing the things that normal people take for granted every single day. He's getting blessed. He's getting blessings out of it.
If a diabetic doesn't take their insulin, what happens?
You're going to die.
It's going to die. You have to get up and take your medicine every day. That's it. I'm working for the therapist that I did my internship for, and we're talking, and I was, going over some things with her, and she just looks at me and goes, it'd be amazing if everyone had the passion for this that you do. And I looked her dead in the eye, and I was like, "Natasha, this is my life.
100%.
This
so
I do this."
Like me and you, we're not faking this stuff, man.
Not at all.
I'm not faking. I'm not trying to make a living. I'm not faking this.
Not trying to get a girlfriend who thinks I'm cool because I'm doing this. I'm not trying to get friends.
I'm trying to stay alive.
Trying to save my fucking life.
I'm trying to stay alive, man.
And for the first time in my life through that, I have actually become comfortable in my own skin.
So that's key too, right?
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to love ourselves, and we have to learn how to be okay with who we are.
And not get high about it.
So in my life, and you know this as well as anybody, I was a chameleon. I was this way around these people and this way around these people, and I was a gangster over here, and I was a biker over here, and I was, you know how I was. I never knew who I was. Today, through the grace of God and some people that I brought in my life that will respect me for who I am and love me for who I am, I've learned that it's okay to be Guy. That's a big deal, man, because for me, it wasn't okay to be Guy because I didn't know who the hell Guy was. I didn't have any idea. Today, I might not know exactly who I am, but I know who I'm not. And that's key, man. Like for me, I might not always know what to do, but I know what not to do. Right? That's a big deal, man.
It's the hugest thing. For me growing up, I always wanted, we want people to like us. We want people to love us, right? And for my parents, I was, they wanted me to get good grades and make them look good. And so I was very academic, and, I liked music, and people like a long haired dude that shreds on a guitar and smokes weed and shit. So I was,
heck yeah, we do.
Yeah. Woo. and you know, but the thing was, it's like all that was what people projected onto me, and since that's what they liked and responded to, I accentuated those parts of my personality, and I minimized all the other parts that I thought that people wouldn't like or were boring or wouldn't be accepting or were dorky or whatever, and I like subjugated myself in order
100%.
to curry favor and to be friends. And also, whenever you're a kid, you got to be cool to get weed. You couldn't go to a fucking dispensary, get your card, and go to the dispensary and just buy weed. Because if I could, I'd have just went home and did my fucking homework in my bedroom, listen to records. But I couldn't. I had to go hang out with people who were like, "Hey, I can get this, this, that, and the other." And I'm like, "Well, I've heard that."
And what did they always say? Is this dude cool?
Is this dude cool?
Is this dude cool?
Yeah,
Right? That's
he's
what
cool.
they say.
They're like, "Fuck, Jeremy, he looks like he's 10 years old." They're like, "Oh, he's cooler than you'd believe."
He's cool, man. He's cool.
Cool. All right, fuck it, let him in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
it's crazy, the life that we lived and the things that we went through, and to be where we both are today, man. I'm so very blessed and so very thankful to have a guy like you around me. I know you don't know how much you've helped me in this last year. We've talked more in this last year than we have in the last 10 years. And that's amazing.
We've talked more in this last year than we truly ever have, because for all those years that we were together all the time doing all the shit, we never really said anything to each other other than, "Got that? Let's do that."
You want to smoke this?
Cheap.
I got some of that.
Go
hey,
cheap.
You hook me up.
Baseball?
I'll hook you up.
Rick, I hooked you up. You got that money?
So I
was talking
with the old lady about that the other day, man, about you, and I said, the only thing we ever did together was get high, chase pussy, and go to football games.
Facts.
That's it. Like, that's fact, Jack. That's it. I don't ever remember hanging out with you and not being obliterated.
Well, maybe when we got together, we weren't. Boy,
yeah, but I mean, the goal was, we're going to go hang out. We're going to drink this bottle of booze. We're going to get us some drugs.
Watch our buddy make out with the tranny, and then we're going to go, "Oh, wait, what?"
You know, whatever happens, happens, man. And then we're going to go home and tell the story, right? That's what we did.
And too many of those stories got too dark. Looking back, but
I'm not going to say we didn't have a good time, right? We had some good times, man. We did. Yep. But those good times always lead it into a very dark place, man.
Horrible.
So I've learned this much, like in my recovery. I was asked once to try to think back on a time that I used drugs or alcohol and it ended well. And I said, okay, let me think about that. And I did that for a couple of days, man. I sat there and I thought about that. And I couldn't think of one solitary time that it ended good for me. Not once, not ever, not one time. The first time it ended bad and the last time it ended bad, and every time in between. It was never good. It never worked. See, we always say when it quit working, it never worked. It didn't work, bro.
It just quit distracting you. You eventually got to the point where, because this is the thing, if you're taking drugs to kill your pain and you're not doing anything to alleviate the actual source of your pain, that pain's still going to grow and it's still continuing to get bigger. And then you're adding more and more shit on top of it with the drug use.
I got to keep using more and more drugs to cover up the more and more bullshit. And it's
eventually, you hit a tolerance level. Like I got to the point with cocaine where I just couldn't get high on it. You were looking at like lethally toxic levels of cocaine, and that was just ridiculous. And so that's the alternative. Either you're going to die or you're going to quit doing this shit.
I would literally say to people that we both know, this stuff ain't even any good, man. It doesn't work.
It's not any good. It's trash. Right? I can't get high on it. Why are you doing this shit? I said
those things. And I was whacked out of my ever-loving mind, dude. Like, I was high as bat pussy. Right? Like, I was
odds balls like a motherfucker. And
I remember old Mike looking at me, and I said that, man, and he went, "You kidding me, dude? Look at you. You're a mess." And I was like, "It ain't worth a damn."
It was stupid, and we were right at the end of my run. We were all smoking a bunch of crack, and everybody's running around with their full heads on, and I'm sitting in the corner with a guitar by myself, just looking depressed. And fucking this girl's like, "Jeremy, you gonna start crying?" and we had just went and got more shit, and I just put the guitar down, and I'm like, "Hey, I got to leave. I got to go home, and I got to leave. I got to go home by myself, and I don't even want any of this shit. Y'all can just have it. And I just left, and I went to my therapy. That was like 6 a.m. on a Monday. I went to therapy at 11 a.m. and just started bawling. Like, oh, I smoke crack. And it was the first time I ever admitted to anybody that I'd ever been molested. You know, like that was the first time I'd ever said that to anybody that had ever come out. And how that happened. And, you know, they were getting ready to drop me out of therapy because I wasn't giving them anything. I wasn't really doing the work still. And like that was the watershed moment when my therapist was like, yeah, you know, well, now we got something to work with. You know, I thought they were going to kick me out because I'd been out smoking crack. And they're like, oh, no.
They liked the fact that you were out smoking crack.
And I came in
and
it opened up.
Opened up that locker inside you, right? That you had all of that stuff locked up in there, man.
And like,
so when we have,
yeah, I was like, how did it get to this point already? Here we are again, and it's like this, and you know, and I surrendered. You know, that's when I surrendered. It's like, obviously, I can't do this on my own.
The thing is, man, and if we have a little sobriety time, right, and even like a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, we're always going to go back to the same amount of dope that we did when we quit, right? Because our brain tells us that. So in my experience, I was doing $1,000 a week worth of methamphetamine when I went to rehab, $1,000 a week. So at least 2 ounces every week. That's what I was using.
Wow.
Right. And that's the truth. And so I'm going to go back to doing that, and it's going to kill me.
Yep.
Right. It's going to happen. No different than if you were doing, you know, a half ounce of blow every couple of days or whatever it was. You're going to go back and do that again, and it's going to kill you.
Yeah, my body can't handle it.
The other thing is the drugs that we're getting today ain't the drugs that we think we're doing.
Shit. Yeah, it's like, I swear to God, they have one big bag that has meth, fentanyl, and cocaine in it, and a bunch of cut. And no matter what anybody wants, they're like, oh, what do you want? You want boy? Here you go. Here you go. You want that girl? Here you go. Yeah, 100%.
It's all the same. It's all the
same shit.
And so we're going to get to watch a bunch of our friends die if we don't do something about it, man. And I think that what we're doing right here, we could put this on the internet, and maybe some people that need to hear what we're saying can hear it. Maybe some people that we know are going to hear what we're saying and hear it. And that's all I'm trying to do, man. I want to help the next guy, man. I want to help my friends that are still out there dying. I want to help the people that I don't even know that are still out there dying, man. I want people to know that there's hope, that we do recover, that we can make it. And there's people out here that are doing it. And if you need some help, I'm here to help you. And that doesn't mean I'm here to pay your rent. That doesn't mean I'm here to take care of your problems. That doesn't mean I'm here to wipe your ass. But it does mean if you want to know how to get better, I'm going to give you my hand and I'm going to show you what I did.
We keep what we have by giving it away. We have to
give it away. That comes with recovery. That comes with finances. That comes with success. It comes with everything that we have. If I am selfish and self-centered and hoard everything that I've got, I get to lose it all. That's what it gets to happen to me. That's how it works.
Well, that's isolation. That's isolation. Yeah. And addiction breeds in isolation. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Having the connection with your family, with the loved ones in your life, with your community, with your church, with your job, with your school, with your kids, with all these things that we have been blessed with. You know, you have to have that connection, because if you isolate yourself, you become selfish, and that's how.
Yeah, we put ourselves in this box. Yeah. That's what we do. At least that's what I did. I lived in this little box. I lived in one little corner of the world. I ran around with the same people for 30 years. I was a townie. These are my guides. This is what I do. And I normalized it and all of these things. And I have to get outside of every bit of that. Every bit of that I have to get outside of.
Well, and 3 of us in that neighborhood actually got out. There's the 3 that you thought would never gonna leave.
So we got to get Free Dog on this here.
Yeah, 100. It's coming. It's coming.
We got to get Free Dog on here, man.
He's coming. He's
living a good life, man.
Dude, I'm so proud of all of us.
How amazing is it today that you can look at the 6 or 8 of us that grew up together in that neighborhood and knew each other our whole lives. Half of us are getting better. You see what I'm saying?
And we did it independently. We did it independently. We had to do it on our own. It's a solo trip. It's a decision that you make.
And how much how much is that so true? Is that we have to be willing to be selfish when it comes to getting started on this thing. I have to realize that if I don't fix me, I can't fix nothing. If I don't help me, I can't help nobody. If I don't forgive me, I can't forgive nobody else. So recovery, especially in the beginning, is a very selfish deal, but it's a different kind of selfish. It's a healthy selfish. It's the opposite of the kind of selfish that we were taught and that we used.
I don't even look at it as selfish. It's boundaries. It's being healthy and having boundaries and knowing where our limits are and knowing what we're capable of. And
staying in our lane, bro.
That's it.
Stay in your lane, man.
That's it.
Stay in your own freaking lane. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what Guy's doing and just do that.
That's it.
And those people that you don't want around you will just fall off to the side. They're just gone. I didn't have to tell them to go away. They left.
Hell, Guy, they fucking
left.
canceled me.
Yeah. So everybody thinks that, I'm going to lose all my friends and who gives a crap?
Fuck them.
How am I not going to hang out with these people? You don't have to do nothing. You just have to start doing the right thing and they'll leave.
That's it.
They'll never call you anymore.
It was funny as shit. It was after I quit doing drugs, quit doing cocaine, quit drinking, got into therapy, started going to yoga all the time, changed what I eating, started losing weight, started looking better, got on the dean's list, became an honor student, just really didn't need anyone. That's when they canceled me and started talking shit, bro.
Yeah, because see, misery loves company, brother.
Yep.
That's the truth.
Yep. As long as I was still throwing my dick around town and fucking doing blow and drinking booze with them and fucking acting like them, they're like, oh yeah, fuck her, she's crazy. Oh, I can't believe she did that. But as soon as I stopped hanging out with them and co-signing to that shit behavior, they all, oh, well, did you hear what she said about him? Fuck. Okay.
Do you know what they've said about me my whole life?
Fuck them. They don't know me. They never knew me. You know, I was the biggest piece of shit in my life when I was hanging out with them and they accepted me.
100%, man. 100%.
And now I'm happy inside myself. And the people that don't accept me and don't want to be around me, I'm like, good. Go choose the bear. Go over there. Get away from me. You know,
I'm glad. See, what was I going to say? I'm okay with people not liking me today.
My sense of identity, self-identity, and self-awareness, my validation isn't contingent upon somebody else liking me or thinking I'm great.
Contingent upon what you think of me, dude.
Straight up.
Even as far as I take it to my own family.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my daughter.
So like I lived a life being me and my mother had this super codependent relationship, right? And I looked to her for a lot of validation.
To you too, huh?
Yeah. And so today, and I even said this to her, I said, Mom, my happiness does not come from what you think of me, man.
I bet she thought you slapped her.
Yeah. And she was like, huh? And I was like, me being happy is not contingent on you being happy. Doesn't matter to me anymore. Do I want you to be happy? Sure I do. 100%. I want you to be happy. But if you're not happy with what I'm doing, is that going to change what I'm doing? No. It's not. But I have to take that to every person in my life. Nobody gets a pass.
Nobody gets put on a pedestal. Nobody gets put on a pedestal. No. Especially
me.
100.
I don't get to put myself up there because I'm no better than anybody.
I'm not special. I've seen me do the most degrading, fucked up shit I've ever seen anybody do. Really.
None of us are unique, man. None of our problems are unique. We're all living the same. We're all in the same ball, man. We're all in the same spinning ball or this flat ball, whatever you want to call it. And nobody's unique, man. My problems are not unique. I am not any different than anybody else, and nobody's better than me, and I'm not better than anybody else.
It was it was a large moment for me when I realized that not only was I was the cause of all my problems and shit like that, but like I was capable of anything, and that includes shit. absolute shit and be like, look at you, you know, this is what you're capable of. You know, it's a big moment when I realized that, you know, we carry this guilt around. Like I had guilt around, you know, my relationship with my daughter and like just a couple of things. And really looking back, they're not even that big of a deal. But I acted like I was the biggest piece of shit in the world for some of the shit that I had done and carried that around and acted like there was just no redemption for me or anything like that. And yeah,
Like you just, this is just the way you are, and this is
mhm.
what you got, and there's no change in that.
Yep.
And yeah, man, our mutual buddy was saying that just the other day, that he said, I finally realized that I'm not just a piece of shit,
Yep.
that I'm sick,
Yep.
that I have a disease. I got a mental problem.
Yep.
My brain don't work like everybody else's.
Whoa, I won't even say that. Actually, our brains do work like everybody else's, and
Well,
that's the problem. It's a trauma response, and so it's psychology. And when you factor the psychology in, it makes so much sense with the equation.
a drug addict's reaction to stuff is different than a drug addict's than a non-drug addict's reaction to stuff, is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah,
right? It's different.
but so many people, even if they're not drug addicts, they're addicts in other ways that are more socially acceptable or more covered up, and they have the same kind of
Sure.
response. You know, so most people, like the fact that we're comparing ourselves to quote unquote normal people, I throw that out even
I
because
guess we should probably throw that away, because who's really
yeah,
normal, right? Like, so I don't
right.
get to decide what's normal, right? Like, I
No,
don't get to do that either.
what we
Boy,
went
that's
through was normal for us, and what we're doing is normal to us now.
is it really?
This is the most normal thing I've ever done in my life. Like
I
applying
think
myself
it's
to school and getting ready to move and getting ready to just embark on this next awesome part of my life. And I feel like I'm myself for the first time and that I'm comfortable in my skin for the first time. Yeah, this is as normal as anything I've ever done, ever.
I would say for me that this is the happiest I've ever been in my life. I don't think I've ever been happy before, ever.
No,
I had moments of happiness, right? Or something made me happy.
sure.
Um, but for actual, an extended long period of satisfaction and happiness, I never had any of that in my life, man.
No.
And today I
And
do. But I think that's all due to honesty, willingness, being humble, and all of those things, and being grateful for the things that I have, and not worrying about what I don't, and working on me, right? Happiness is an inside job, man. It's an
it,
inside job. I decide to be happy, or I decide to be angry. I make a decision if I want to be mad at you. Doesn't matter
it,
what you say to me. I make a decision on how I react and how I treat you after that is said. I make that decision. Ain't your fault. It's my fault.
it blows my mind every time I hear somebody say, "Oh, well, you made me feel that way," or "They made me feel like that," or "Well, they shouldn't have done that," or "Well, why are they?" It's like, well, one, nobody makes you feel like anything. How are they supposed to be?
People are people, man.
People are people. We have different people in our lives at different times for different reasons, and we're supposed to learn from them all. And the thing about it is like we people like what we do is we project what we want and what our expectations are. But a lot of times these expectations are uncommunicated. And uncommunicated expectations are like the mother of all resentments. So these people aren't connected to themselves. They're not connected to what their expectations are. So they're not going to communicate them to somebody else because they want somebody to like them. And so they don't want to put their expectations out there, and so the other person doesn't know, and so like the whole thing just becomes this convoluted mess of unresolved bullshit, when if you just say what you feel and be connected to how you feel in the first place, it all gets taken care of.
As I've been moving along this little journey, I've decided this, that I don't have any expectations out of anybody. I
Facts.
can't get let down, right? That's the deal. If I don't expect you to do anything for me, you can't let me down. And so that's a boundary that I put up. I don't
But
expect anything of you. If you give me something, or you do something well, or you do something good, awesome. If you do
well,
something crappy and terrible and bad, awesome too. I didn't expect a damn thing from you. So in turn, I can't let you own any of my feelings, because I
well,
didn't expect anything out of
I
you.
I still have one real bad trigger, and it's something that I'm working on, but I don't know if it'll ever be resolved. But if somebody's words don't match up with their actions, it triggers the fuck out of me. Okay, I
Yeah,
can't
and
be
I think,
around that. I can't have
that's
that in my life. I like
but that's
you have,
lying, right? That's
yeah,
just lying. Right? That's lying. And so we don't. So we were the biggest liars on the face of the earth,
we lied to
and today
ourselves.
we don't. Today we don't like it.
Don't like it.
Today I don't like it. I'd
Don't
rather
like
you
it.
tell me that you hate my guts than to lie to me.
Tell me fuck off.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can deal with that a whole lot better than your bullshit. I
Facts. 100. Fucking love you.
love you too, my brother. Thanks for letting me do this.
Hey, I'm glad that we get to do this.
That's right, man. And let's do it
Grateful.
again.
We will. Promise.
All right, my brother. You have a good night.
Love. Love, bird dog.
Huh.
All right.
Is
We're
that
going to do that
is that
again.
bird dog?
Yeah, it's bird dog. All right, brother. I love you. Be safe.
I love you too, brother.
All right. Bye.
Later.
Come on in.
All right, y'all. That's my dude. It's my bro. Double R, my Italian friend. I do want to share this. I should have brought it up in the actual podcast so he could comment on it. But I do want to say we were at a Chiefs game tailgating one time, and our friend Dave's mom makes like this amazing spicy Bloody Mary mix. We had this giant tailgate, huge spread, everything. Drink these pitchers of Bloody Marys. And then, of course, you know, when it's getting close to noon, we got to go in for the kickoff. Everybody pockets these beers, you know, and we're going in. And everybody's slamming their beers down, sucking them down as fast as they can. I drank mine down, and then I went to pull it out of my pocket. And I was like, man, I don't think I want to crack this yet. Guy's sucking his down. Our buddy, Big Phil, we call him that because he's a big old dude. Big old dude. Tall and big. Like, big every way. He's a huge ass dude. And he's sucking his down. I see he's draining it, and I just turn to him, and he crushes the can, throws it in the trash can. And I hand him, like, I go to hand him the beer out of my pocket, and I'm like, here, you want this one? And Phil looks at that beer, and he looked at me, and you could see it. And he just starts to puke, and he turns towards the trash can, and this other guy was throwing his beer away, and Phil puked all over this guy's like nice leather fucking Chiefs jacket. It was like a $400 jacket. Just whoosh. And the guy was pissed as hell until he looked up at Phil. And, you know, Phil's giant. And so the dude just looked back down, decided not to say anything. And Guy, in his quietest outdoor voice, just yells, "Hey, big fucking Phil, he just puked on this fucking guy!" I just turned around and walked off like I didn't know him. That was a normal occurrence. That was just, you know, that's a tame one. That was just a funny thing that I can tell in this podcast. That's probably the only tale I feel safe telling out of school without any of the principals being involved in the retelling. But yeah, we just went through all this shit all our lives, not being accountable people, not being respectable people, and then to be where we are now. It's living proof that it works. So, hey, anybody needs any help, reach out, please. You can DM me here. You can also reach out to him. We're here to help anyone that wants to change the way that they live and to live a better life and to become accountable. We know how to do that. You have to surrender to the process, and it's not easy. But once you do surrender, everything becomes easy. It's amazing. Yeah, thanks for listening. Again, season 3's here. We've got a lot of big stuff coming up. We have a lot of news politically and in world events. There's just going to be so much coming on. I'm going to have master yoga instructors on. We're going to have Daryl Hance is going to come back on and talk about his new album. I've got just so much stuff to talk about. There's just so much going on in the world right now, and I feel my own level of awareness and enlightenment kind of shifting upwards. And I'm here for it. You know, I'm literally here for it. I'm stuck at home right now. I'm going to try and go to work on Friday, but man, this has been kind of brutal. I like to stay busy. I'm a pretty busy person. It's given me another lesson in patience and acceptance, you know, reinforcing that. And, you know, I've been whacked out on antihistamines for 3 weeks. So it's almost like I'm just starting to come to, and I'm really starting to put this together. Not only how we're going to do this podcast here, but how I'm going to approach my life. I want to make my life burst with as much organic passion, and to have that be articulated in every single thing that I do. That's the goal. To truly live with intent and to be in the moment. It's all about that awareness. That information's here, and I'm also always on the lookout for more information. So, I'm looking out for more guests. Any suggestions on like books. I love to read. So if anybody has any books they would suggest, put those in the comment. I'm all about that kind of stuff, and sharing of information is the true connection of how knowledge is spread and how wisdom is spread through shared lived experience. And that's something I've only recently begun to learn. Like I said, I'm only scratching the surface of this. My goal is to truly be the best version of myself possible. And in order to live your best life, I truly feel like you have to be the best version of yourself that you can be. Why limit yourself? Why limit yourself? Take the governor off. Let's roll.
Find me